If you woke up and grew breasts today, would like them to be removed? There are men.
Say that again?
Have you ever heard of gynecomastia?
I had it.
And so did I. I'm glad you're here. And we're going to jump right back into this viral clip that is also somewhat personal to my story. I'll keep most of my comments toward the back end so you can see the clip, but I will say right here, I'd like you to watch the kinds of examples that this individual gives and ask the question, do these examples actually address the concerns that most of us have with trans surgeries, particularly on kids? So watch for that as we jump back in.
What do you have to say for people who don't fit in your definition of man or woman? I'm a biologist. I understand the biology. Are you saying that a woman is only a person who has two X chromosomes and a man who is someone who only has an X and a Y chromosome?
I think that's the scientific definition, yes.
It's actually not, because there can be people with XXY. There can be Y chromosome inactivation. The way that this biology works is that you have genes. Those genes make proteins. Those proteins develop the traits that you define as men and women. They develop the features that you define as male. They develop the genitalia. But you can be a woman with female genitalia and be XY. You can be a man, but you can have XX chromosomes.
Yeah, I understand what you're talking about, Grace. You're talking about a very rare condition known as intersexed. Right.
1 in 100 people experience chromosomal differences in sex.
Okay, but not 1 in 100 have different genitalia or ambiguous genitalia.
And what do you say to those people?
Well, what you say is that's a situation that is not the norm. We're not saying that they're not people, obviously. As I understand it, maybe you know more about it than me, when you do have a truly intersexed person, at that point, either the parents or when they're old enough, they can decide which way they're going to orient themselves and they can get the appropriate surgery. But that's not what we're experiencing in our culture.
That it's okay for people to decide their gender.
In that situation, but that's not what we're talking about in our culture. What we're talking about in our culture are people with perfectly normal functioning sexual organs trying to have them removed and trying to transition to another gender, which is impossible scientifically.
So what is the actual number of intersex people? The number that you'll hear a lot of the time is 1.5% to 1.7%. But that's based on research that was done in 2000 by Anne Fausto Sterling that is known to have some problems with it. Way back in 2002, Leonard Sachs had this to say about that research. Many reviewers are not aware that this figure includes conditions which most clinicians do not recognize as intersex, such as Klinefelter syndrome, Turner syndrome, and late onset adrenal hyperplasia. If the term intersex is to retain any meaning, the term should be restricted to those conditions in which chromosomal sex is inconsistent with phenotypic sex or in which the phenotype is not classifiable as either male or female. Applying this more precise definition, the true prevalence of intersex is seen to be about 0.018%, almost 100 times lower than Faust Sterling's estimate of 1.7%. And you can read more about that in Leonard Sachs, How Common is Intersex, a response to Anne Fausto Sterling from 2002. The problem with this example is that we're taking a medical issue that affects a fraction of the population and using that to justify this controversial surgical practice. That makes no sense.
Have you ever doubted that you're a man? You've doubted that you...
Oh, have I ever doubted I'm a man? No, I have never doubted I'm a man.
Then what do you say to a transgender person who has never doubted their gender? You're saying that we all change and that obviously transgenderism is a product of some kind of phase, but you've never doubted that you're a man. So
no,
where's your development of this change?
Grace, I'm not denying there are people truly with gender dysphoria. I've already said that. What I'm saying is the way out of that problem is not surgery according to the data. Okay? Psychiatry is the way out of that problem.
I also don't agree with your statement that after surgery, you implied that transgender people are more likely to commit suicide after surgery. But the statistics say that transgender people are more likely to commit suicide because of arguments that you make that they're invalid.
No, I'm not saying they're invalid.
I'm just saying that you implied that it's the surgery that's causing suicide.
No, it's not. What I'm saying is the surgery doesn't fix anything. That's the point. It's practically the same rate, whether they have the surgery or not.
If you woke up and grew breasts today, would like them to be removed? There are men.
Say that again?
Have you ever heard of gynecomastia?
I had it.
So did you have that fixed?
Yes, I did.
And did that make you feel affirmed in your gender and comfortable in your body?
No, when I was in the Navy, nobody knows this, by the way. Jesus, now I'm revealing I need a HIPAA form to sign here or something.
You don't have to talk about it.
No, what I'm saying is, yes, I've had that myself and had it surgically removed when I was in the Navy. Yeah.
And do you feel more comfortable in your body and more affirmed in your gender because of that?
Well, it wasn't a gender thing for me. It was the fact, well, I can't even get into it now because it had nothing to do with my gender. Okay. So it had to do with the fact that it looked really odd. Let me just put it that way. Okay.
So I'll join Frank in this. He doesn't have to stand alone. This exact same thing happened to me. And he's right that it's not a transgender issue. However, even if we were to grant the kind of thing that is a trans surgery issue, that adults could do it, that there wasn't really any kind of a problem with adults doing that, that would still be a million miles from what we're talking about with children. There's two real problems with the children issue with this, and that is one, kids can't consent. That's just it. And secondly, how in the world is a kid supposed to know? We have some really insightful kids out there, but how in the world is a kid supposed to know at such a young age what is going to be comfortable to them in their body when they're 19, 20, 21, 22? We should at least, in cases like this, wait until 18.
But Grace, my point is if we truly care about people, are we going to try and force them down a road, particularly as children, into a solution to a problem which is proven not to be a solution?
You just said that having that surgery made you feel better about yourself.
That has nothing to do with transgender surgery. I wasn't changing my sex. I was having breast tissue removed. Okay? I was always a man.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? So...
And say that I have XY chromosomes, but I'm born with female genitalia and female body types, but I believe I'm a man. Should I not be allowed to have that breast tissue removed?
As an adult, you can do whatever you want.
Yes, that's fine.
My problem is with the children. That's where I'm having a real problem.
Is there a magic button at 18 that instantly makes you feel like you know who you are and absolutely what your gender is?
No, well, I think for women, it's probably like 15. For men, it's 37. To be honest with you, okay? Because men don't develop as quickly as women, all right? But no, we've just chosen 18 kind of as the adulthood crossing point, although for some issues it's 21, like drinking, okay? So, no, maybe it's later than 18.
Here, I think her point kind of backfires. Yeah, we actually continue to develop in our understanding of who we are and what we like and what's comfortable to us and our role in society and all those things as we age out of adolescence. There's no hard line at 18. That's right. But that's all the reason why we should make people wait until at least legal adulthood for this, if not several years later. And I'm no medical doctor, obviously, but it certainly makes sense to my mind after hearing from detransitioners that there seems to be almost like a carrot of happiness and comfort that is dangled in front of certain people. For example, maybe if you start presenting a certain way and you start to get on some of these puberty-related drugs, well, then you'll feel better. And so you hope that, you expect that, and maybe you do feel a little bit better at first. And for some people, that goes away and they get to feeling worse again. And then perhaps that's because we need to take the next step. Maybe that's top surgery. And then the cycle repeats. Maybe I feel better for a little bit, but not everyone will. And so some people might still feel bad. What happens now? Well, now we go on to bottom surgery. And it's like there's this carrot that's dangling out there. And when you get through all of that, maybe it's some features that we need to work on, or maybe it's just more therapy. And this can be like a carrot of happiness that is dangled in front of someone that keeps them in this for years and years. It makes sense to me that whatever is going on, this should be something that is only allowed for adults. None of what we said here was based on religion or Christianity, but I am a Christian, and I believe that there is a lot more to being a human than what we often hear in secular culture. I hope that if you're out there watching, that you'll click subscribe and check out the rest of our channel.